I never imagined I'd end up here, writing this out because I need to unload something I can't tell anyone else. Not my friends, not my therapist, and certainly not my family. This isn't just about guilt. It's about a boundary I crossed in the name of love, protection, and loneliness. And though I didn't mean to lose myself in the process, that's exactly what happened. Let me start by saying this. I'm not a bad mother. Or at least I never thought I was. I'm 42, divorced for almost 5 years, and raising my son, Caleb, who just turned 18, mostly on my own. His father checked out of the picture a long time ago, both emotionally and, eventually, physically. Since the divorce, it's been just the two of us. Our bond became tight. Sometimes too tight, and I didn't see that until it was already too late. I always tried to be open with Caleb. We talked about everything. School, girls, his frustrations, even his anxiety around intimacy. He was a quiet kid growing up, bookish, sensitive. The type who felt things deeply and didn't always know how to say them. I admired that about him. How introspective he was. It reminded me of myself at his age, before life hardened the edges. Things shifted last winter. He had just gone through a difficult breakup with a girl from his class. Nothing dramatic, but I could see it had shaken him. He was restless, quiet, spending more time in his room. I started noticing changes. Lingering hugs, longer eye contact, compliments that felt more than innocent. I'd laugh them off, make light jokes, but there was an energy there. Something unspoken. Something dangerous. One night we were watching a movie together on the couch. I remember it so clearly because it felt like a turning point. He put his head in my lap like he used to when he was a kid, but he wasn't a kid anymore. He looked up at me and said, "You're really beautiful, you know that?" Froze. I smiled, said something deflective, but my heart was pounding. I should have stopped it there. Set a boundary. Redirected. But I didn't. That's the thing about emotional lines. They're almost invisible until you're on the wrong side of them. Around that time I had also started taking better care of myself again. Exercising, dressing up more, trying to reclaim some confidence after years of feeling unwanted. Caleb noticed. He'd make little comments. "You look amazing today." Or, "I bet you turned heads at the store." At first, I chalked it up to him trying to boost my spirits. But something about the way he said those things. It stirred something in me. Something I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't long before things became even murkier. He started lingering when I changed clothes in my room, knocking but entering too quickly. Once I caught him looking, not in an overt way, but long enough for us both to feel the weight of it. And instead of scolding him, I laughed awkwardly and threw on a robe. That moment should have been a warning bell, but instead it felt flattering. That's the ugly truth. I began to question myself. Was I encouraging this? Did I enjoy the attention? Was this just his way of navigating his budding adulthood? Or had we both blurred the lines too far? The final straw, or maybe the unraveling, happened on his birthday. I had just come home from work, and he was in a funk. I asked him what was wrong, and he confessed that he felt unwanted, confused about dating, and overwhelmed by his feelings. He admitted in a halting voice that he'd been having thoughts he didn't know what to do with, that he felt ashamed, that he didn't want to be weird. My heart broke for him. I wanted to protect him, comfort him. I should have reassured him with words, with space. Instead, I tried to soothe him the only way I knew how in that moment. Through touch. Long hug. Brushing his hair out of his eyes. Sitting too close. It wasn't sexual, but it wasn't motherly either. And when he said, "It's just easier talking to you than anyone else," I felt a lump in my throat. 'Cause I knew what he meant. And part of me, some twisted, damaged part, felt that too. The days that followed were filled with tension. He'd retreat to his room. I'd linger outside the door, torn between shame and confusion. I started dressing more conservatively around him, pulling away, avoiding touch. But the silence between us became a presence of its own. The damage had been done, not in some dramatic taboo act, but in 1,000 small gestures that built a bridge we should never have crossed. One night I finally brought it up. I told him that we had become too close, too emotionally entangled. I tried to explain that it wasn't his fault, and it wasn't mine either, but that we had to create space. That real love, motherly love, means knowing when to stop. He cried. We sat on opposite ends of the room like strangers. And in that silence, I felt something unravel that I don't think we can ever fully repair. We've been working on rebuilding boundaries since then. I encouraged him to see a counselor at school. I started therapy again too. Things are calmer now but distant. The closeness we once had, pure and warm, feels like a shadow of itself. And that's the price of getting too close to a line you should never toe. I'm telling this story not to excuse myself, but because I know I'm not the only woman who's ever felt lonely, vulnerable, and caught in a web of blurred emotions. Maybe not with a son. Maybe with a student, a stepson, a friend. Emotional infidelity doesn't always look like a passionate affair. Sometimes it's in the glances we don't stop, the boundaries we don't hold, the comfort we mistake for connection. I regret everything that led us to that point. I wish I could go back and choose differently at every fork in the road. But all I can do now is move forward. Quietly, carefully, with the hope that one day Caleb can look back and feel safe again. That I can forgive myself.